following interview was conducted at PDAC 2017 with Mr. Tom Drivas, President and CEO of Appia Energy Corporation. Please introduce Appia Energy to investors.
Appia Energy is a company that I started about 10 years ago. It was when uranium was started to get exciting, and our first project, it was basically we picked up a lot of land in Elliot Lake, Ontario. That was our first project, and since then we raised quite a bit of money, $10 million as a private company, and we did quite a bit of drilling and exploration. So right now we've got in Elliot Lake about 260 million pounds combined uranium and rare earths, and which represents about 5 pounds per outstanding share. But since last year, we also got involved in the Athabasca Basin. We acquired 2 or 3 properties there, and we're concentrating on that right now in terms of exploration in the Athabasca Basin because of the high-grade nature of the uranium and rare earth, or especially the uranium in the basin, and especially with this lower uranium prices, that's where the biggest bang for the buck is for investors and for companies.
Share with investors about James Sykes, your Vice President of Exploration and Development, and his track record of success.
James is a young fellow. He is spent about 10 years in exploration, in doing exploration in the Athabasca Basin with a number of major companies. He was very successful. He was involved in discovering about 350 million pounds of uranium. Some of the companies that he was involved with, Hathor and Denison, and the last one was NextGen, where he was involved in this great discovery, the Arrow deposit. So last year, James came to me and said, I've got all this experience in the Athabasca Basin, and I took all this experience, looked at the entire entire basin, from the potential of getting some new areas with new mineralization, new uranium mineralization. So he basically said, I've got 2 areas that I can almost guarantee you will probably have the next big discovery. Obviously, there's no guarantees in this business, but he gave me all this information, and we looked at it. Our technical people, our geologists looked at it, and we're really excited about what his thoughts, because these 2 projects, one is the Loringer property and the other one is the other side property, have very similarity, quite a few similarities to the other big discoveries in the basin, and so we're quite excited. We acquired those properties, so we have 100% interest. Appia has an 100% interest, and in those properties. James joined the company. I also have to say that James was raised in Elliot Lake, and his father was a uranium miner in Elliot Lake. So it's a family history of I guess uranium is in his blood, and so we started raising some new money last year. We put a business plan in terms of acquiring the properties, doing the first survey, an airborne VTEM survey on one of the properties, the Loringer property, and then we did ground surveys, like ground gravity surveys. Were done on time and under budget, and now we have a drilling program. We actually announced today that we're drilling this Loringer property. We're quite excited, and James is very excited, and I'm very excited, and our shareholders, I think, are quite excited, because we have the Loringer property is a high-grade near-surface near infrastructure uranium target. So if we're successful, this property could be viable at practically any, or even a very low uranium prices. So that it's quite exciting. The other factor, the other big factor here is because it's shallow exploration. It would be done at very low exploration costs. Very shallow drill holes, and it doesn't take that much time to drill, and also the development of it, the development could be very reasonable, very economically possible. So, and another big factor is that James had spent 10 years over there with all these companies, so he knows which techniques work, which surveys work, which ones they don't work, and and we know which contractor does good work, and so we're actually getting right to the point. We don't have to sort of beat around the bush and go all over the place and hoping that we're going to do this. So we're doing it. We think we're doing it very, very inexpensive and in time, very, very short time.
What are your thoughts regarding how the market is currently valuing Appia?
In our opinion, the market is looking at Appia as just an exploration play. I don't think they're giving as much in terms of valuation for the resource that we have in Elliot Lake. As I mentioned before, in all the categories, we've got about 5 pounds of uranium and rare earth, 4301 compliant. Plus, we have a historical resource that we can bring into compliance, relatively inexpensive, and we don't get any valuation for that. So I don't think we're getting much credit for that, but it's an upside. It's basically a call on uranium. If the uranium prices change, which we think they will, they should, we'll be getting some recognition and some upside from the resource that we have.
What stock exchanges does Appia trade on, and what are the ticker symbols?
Appia is actually trading on the Canadian Stock Exchange, and the symbol is the trading symbol is API on Canadian Exchange. We're also trading on U.S. OTC, and the symbol is APAAF. We recently started trading in Frankfurt, and the symbol is A0I. F is the .F, and Munich, which the symbol is A0I.M, and I guess we're also trading in Berlin with the same symbol A0I.BE. So and Munich was .MU basically.